What's up, everybody? I'm Brendan Graber, and I'm here with James Duggan.
Hello!
And we're here to play Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds for 3DS as part of our 125th celebration of Nintendo.
Yeah,
Can
our
you believe it's
125th
been
anniversary.
So many years?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And this is one of my favorite games. Why? Because my favorite game of all time is A Link to the Past. So you can imagine my hype when they announced like a direct sequel on
Mine's
the 3DS with my favorite place, my favorite iteration of Hyrule, now in 3D.
And it did not disappoint, did it?
Yeah, I know. I'll be honest. I was very cautious at first. I was like, oh man, how are they going to handle this? Are they going to bring out the Dark World? You know, what's going to happen? And, you know, everything turned out better than I could have ever expected.
It was quite good.
Especially with this music, this unforgettable Hyrule Field theme as the main theme for the game, plus the Dark World music. I'm going to try and find a way in there.
You know, I never played A Link to the Past, but...
really?
Yeah, coming in from a perspective of just enjoying the... I started with Ocarina of Time and had played and skipped a couple of games here and there, but I was blown away with this. This was my favorite 3DS game, and to this day, I think is my favorite 3DS game. I did not do the Master Quest, though. Once the game completed, I was like, man, that was fantastic. I'm going to dip out.
I had to go right back in and play it again. I was that happy with this game. I don't do it with a lot of games.
This is a second playthrough, though, because of the color of the sword, correct?
No, he's... I got the... It's the tempered sword, not the gold sword.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're all like, it's kind of late game, not full end game. But just being able to revisit the best places of Link to the Past, like Link's house. Oh, yeah, that's right, my friend. I keep thinking he's going to attack me. And then being able to go, what's behind this wall? Oh, wow, I can go behind it now. I mean, that to me was crazy. I would always wondered playing the game, you know, seeing like just the 2D models, like you can only see the front of Hyrule Castle or the front of these buildings, but you can never really see what's behind them, like the forced 2D perspective. And now they can let you. And check it out. Majora's Mask Easter egg.
There it is.
Where's my Majora's Mask remake in Nintendo?
I always thought that going behind that would do something, but
Me
it kind
too.
of just...
I sit there for hours.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, one of these days. And then, of course, the different interpretation of the Dark World. Instead of having to use the mirror, now going through as a painting, and this beautiful music greeting you on the way. I love Dark World music, by the way. It's just my favorite track in all of Zelda history is the Dark World. And I was very satisfied that not only do they bring it back in a really good way, it actually changes depending on how your level progression is. Like, when you're at the very end of the game, it has like this really big fanfare. Whereas now it's kind of like a catchy beat. It gets even better once you get like to the Ganon's castle.
And in this style of game that gives you an open world, but of course limits you based upon your items and what you've completed, it was just amazing the way that they weave together just all these different ways to go around the world. You can go from one corner to the other on foot. You can use these portals and cracks from the Dark World, and then going back into the Light World, and it was
really very clever
fantastic.
how they kept that style of, you know, you have some items, here's a new place to explore, but we don't want to give everything away just yet, so we'll leave these things out of your reach. Like there'd be like a chasm, and you wouldn't have your 2D powers, or there'd be like a hookshot area, but you wouldn't have the hookshot thing yet.
Right, and the fact that there wasn't a completely linear progression, you kind of get to go about the dungeons as you wanted to, instead of having to say, okay, this is first, this is second, this is third.
Yeah, it was interesting because in A Link to the Past, once you got to the Dark World, there were a couple of dungeons you can go to in any order you wanted, but they kind of kept it in like a numerical order. But in this game, along with the ability to rent and purchase weapons, they really let you just take it how you wanted to go. And they didn't tell you which dungeons were harder. They kind of just let you figure out for yourself. So, like, you know, the very first dungeon I went to was, I think, the Ice Caverns. And that one, with like just a couple of hearts and like a regular sword, was brutal. And I was like, okay, whoa, I might need to go back and try like the Thieves' Hideout, because that one was a little bit easier. But it was nice. It's a very different style of Zelda, and I'm glad they took the risk of letting you choose how you want to progress. And I really hope we see it again.
Oh, you've been trapped. You may have to.
This one badly.
Oh,
I'm okay.
That's all right. Yeah, this game made any kind of airplane ride to any convention something I looked forward to instead of something I dreaded.
Oh yeah.
It was fantastic, and it was one of the few 3DS games that had me playing it at home, as opposed to playing a PC game.
Yeah,
I was just absolutely in love with this. And
this
I thought
just
it was
basically was a nice bookmark to a year of really great 3DS games.
Yeah, there were some great titles.
I think it was the year that I got a 3DS. Was the year it was like all these games started coming out, and then I heard about Zelda. Like, okay, now my purchase has been really justified.
This is a difficult question, but how does this rank compared to the other Zelda games in terms of your favorite?
See,
I know that's very subjective and a little bit granular, but,
It is.
but what do you think?
Because, like, as I said, my favorite of all time has to be Link to the Past. So seeing this was like, oh, this is an obvious number 2, and I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I do think it's a really great game. It is my favorite handheld Zelda, by far. By far and away, my favorite handheld. I would probably rank it like 3rd, maybe 4th, between like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. It's hard. It's a toss-up that it's constantly changing. But this is definitely up there.
Well, after kind of Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, which I wasn't super crazy about. It was really nice to see an entry that got me going once again in this franchise. And it's a very different game from Ocarina of Time since I never played Link to the Past.
Yeah, it was a real callback to the top-down games of yore that ended with, as far as console, they ended with Link to the Past, and on handheld, you know, we had only seen the Wind Waker iterations like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Right.
But this really took it to a different level where it was like, yeah, we're giving you top-down, but we're also giving you an added 3D benefit where at any point you could go behind paintings and walls that added a lot of new puzzles, and they came out in really interesting ways, like the Skull Palace, I think, the dark, it's like one of the Dark Temples.
Yeah,
that play with dark and light. That one, like getting the hidden chest in that one, took me hours to figure out. Okay,
yeah, Easter egg hunts in this were just a total blast.
Oh yeah, and like I prided myself on knowing where every heart piece was in Link to the Past. So like going on those hunts for the heart pieces and like for all the additional items you can get every dungeon, that was a blast, and I loved it. I loved their approach to puzzles and dungeon design in this game. And of course, one thing that a lot of people really realized was the Street Pass functionality in this game, which was a first for Zelda games, was a kind of multiplayer, if you could call it that. It was against AI, but you could save your current Link and use them as a shadow Link for other people passing you by.
It's a faux multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's kind of a A equals B, B equals C kind of thing. Where B
but it brought on this really cool arena fights that like I would have never thought about in Zelda game, but it actually worked out pretty well, especially if you had like your fully decked out Link and you find another one. Like the AI was really responsive, and it was kind of hard to find a way to get in their attacks. I have to like play like who can dodge the attacks the best with the AI Links, and they had like this little achievement system too, which is pretty fun as well.
In terms of the Easter egg hunt, this was the first Zelda game for me that I used wiki and walkthrough free. Oh, speaking of Easter eggs, you got a little guy down there.
Oh, yes, the Mai-Mais. These were like creepy little creatures. But they were cool because they also added a new iteration to the collectible hunt. Not just finding items, but finding upgrades.
Right.
And being able to use the mini-map on the bottom screen to place little pin markers for where I knew they were, but I couldn't get to them. That was cool. I loved it.
And the story, I was blown away by. I did not see that kind of final spoiler coming, which of course we will omit here. But when it did, I was like, "What?"
There was the essence of it. I didn't get the full twist until the very end. I thought I had it figured out.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah. There were definitely parts of it that I understood, but then when that very final reveal came along, I was like, "Wow." I just had a smile. I was grinning, had a huge smile on my face, sitting next to somebody on an airplane. And
but definitely, if you're a fan of Zelda games or Link to the Past, and you're wondering if this is going to be a good one, go play it right now. Go do that.
If you haven't already.
And if you have, please share us your memories. I'm sure you must have really good ones, either about the series or how Link to the Past helped you, or how this game had its own memories, because there was tons of awesome different dungeons and places to go to. So be sure to share in the comments and stay tuned, because we'll be doing even more Let's Plays of all the best Nintendo games.
Oh, yes.
So for all things Zelda and Nintendo, keep it locked right here on IGN.